All right, welcome back to our beginner's guide to backyard barbecue. As you can see here, I have in front of me a salmon fillet. I've been pretty conflicted with a lot of these videos about how simple to make them in order to set people up for success. And the general idea that I'm going with is to just keep it simple, because you can make a lot of really great barbecue with really simple recipes. This one in particular, I wanted to I went to Costco for the filet, and I wanted to come out of Costco with everything I needed. So one thing that I almost forgot about is this. So I went into Costco, I picked up a salmon fillet, I picked up some Kinder's seasoning. It says chicken on it, we'll go over that in a second. But I also picked up some maple bourbon syrup, which we will use for maple bourbon glaze. A lot of times you'll see people recommend that you dry brine a salmon fillet. You can do that. Some people recommend a couple hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, etc. We're not going to do that today. We can kind of consider this like a weeknight recipe, something you can pick up on your way home and have ready in a few hours. So a dry brine would consist of, for like a salmon fillet, kosher salt and sugar, and you would let it sit for an extended period, and that pulls out the moisture. The salt penetrates it, really helps soften up the muscle fibers in the flesh, and it will pull in the sugar also, which helps mask up some of that fishy taste that you'll have. Since we're not doing that today, what I liked about this seasoning in particular is when you look over it, it hits all of the bullet points that the dry brine and the seasoning that we would use for salmon would entail. So we have the first two ingredients are salt and sugar. And then we go on to your spices, garlic, onion, some pepper, and the citric acid. So the rub or the seasoning that we would put on the salmon later is typically some kind of orange zest. Sometimes you'll see people actually squeeze an orange, a lemon, lime, something along those lines, but you want something citrusy to kind of cut through. So a lot of times chicken rubs that you'll see at grocery stores, they work really great on fish also. So all that being said, one thing that we're going to do here is we're going to trim this up a little bit so that it's even, it'll cook evenly. These really thin pieces on the end and stuff, they'll just burn up and they'll be practically shot. So we're going to feel it out right where it starts to kind of taper off, and we're going to cut that back. So I want to be as generous as possible with this. It is somewhat a shame how much we're going to waste here, but this is just going to be not good after it sits in a hot grill for an hour. So we'll make our first cut like so. Okay, now we're going to round it off a little bit. Got to be careful with your meat there. You don't want to manhandle it. You'll split it like I just did. So, anyways, that's looking pretty symmetrical. It'll cook really evenly for us, which is what we're going for. So next, we will get this stuff out of the way. And now we're back on our wire tray that you see me use pretty often. And we're going to season this up on all sides. We're going to be pretty liberal with the seasoning at that. So again, we're up nice and high here. to help encourage a nice even spread across the fillet. And you'll notice another thing that I don't do very often is I don't use binders. You'll see people like cover the salmon or anything, you know, ribs and stuff, in oil, water, mustard. I used to do that. The longer I've been doing this, the less I feel like it actually does anything at all. So I don't do that anymore. I don't think that it particularly helps bind the seasoning to the meat. I don't feel like it adequately provides any depth to the flavor profile. I think anybody insisting that it does, it's either wishful thinking or they are a charlatan. So we'll season up this side. Hit the sides. As Chud always says, don't forget the sides. That would be a rookie mistake. So Bradley Robinson runs a page. It's called Chud's Barbecue. It's one of my favorite pages. I've gotten just tons of tips and tricks and stuff like that. You can see like the seasoning didn't fall off whatsoever. Right, so people say that you need a binder in order to prevent it from falling off when you flip it over, and for whatever reason, that just doesn't seem to happen when I apply seasoning to meat. So anyways, we're gonna let this sit in the fridge. Like I always say, you wanna keep this in the coldest part of the fridge where it's gonna get lots of air circulating over and around it to help dry it out a little bit, and we're gonna let it sit in there for probably like a couple of hours or so. So that way we kind of recreate a little bit of the effect that the dry brine would have. But we're going to leave it just like this, and we'll catch you guys in a little bit when we are ready to start up the Weber. So see you in a bit. So I was setting up the grill. I'm not ready to light it yet, but I did want to show you guys something I got. I've had one of these in the past. I don't know where it went anymore. This is called a slow and sear. So it gives you two cooking surfaces, one off to the side, which is like a direct cooking surface, and then it leaves the other portion open for indirect cooking, which is what we're doing today with the salmon. The other cool feature about this is it has the water tray in the middle, so that provides like a break for the heat, so that direct heat doesn't linger over to whatever you're cooking on the indirect side. But also, and probably more importantly, it provides a heat sink. So one thing that people have a lot of problems with Weber kettles when they're cooking low and slow is there are wild fluctuations in temperature, because so much air can come in and stoke the coals in such a short amount of time. So with this heat sink that the water tray is providing, it gives you more stable temperatures and therefore less fluctuation when you open and close the lid. So if you're going to do this, they have more like bougie models than what I have here, but if you're into this and you want to use the Weber kettles, definitely an awesome accessory to have. All right guys, so we'll go back over lighting a charcoal grill. I have a little wicker stick here that we use to light a charcoal chimney. It's 3/4 of the way filled with mostly used charcoal, but it'll work great for our purposes here. So light that guy, set this on here, and we'll come back in probably 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be lit 100% here because we don't really want the grill temp to spike too high. So we'll give it like 10 minutes. It'll maybe be a third to maybe halfway lit charcoal. We'll dump it in the slow and sear and start working on stabilizing temps in the grill before we put the salmon on. So we'll catch you guys in a little bit. All right, so I meant to just film this, but rookie mistake on my behalf. It was zoomed in and can't use that footage. So I already have the salmon on at this point. It did not take very long to stabilize this. I decided to rotate the lid a little bit so the thermometer is closer to where like the fish is actually going to be in the grill, and I closed the lid or the damper on the lid a little bit also. So that's at about 50%. The lower damper is at easily under 50%, probably like 25 or 30 or so. The other thing that we did here is we put a couple of wood chunks in. I used apple wood today, but in general with fish, you want to use like a fruity wood. So that could be apple, cherry, plum, something along those lines. It has a lighter like smoke profile to it that just accompanies fish very well. So I'll show you guys. I'll open the lid one more time. I have the fish sitting on the wire rack that it was sitting on in the pan in the first place. We're going to close it now before we get carried away. But our target temperature is 300 degrees, so we read a little bit high here. We compensate for that. But at grate level, you want to be at about 300 degrees plus or minus 20 degrees or so. Should take us about an hour. For now, we're going to head into the kitchen. We're going to start making that glaze. We got about 20 minutes or so before we need to worry about adding glaze or checking on this thing too much. So I'll see you guys in the kitchen. All right, so we're ready to start making our glaze. Really simple recipe here. It's just about a quarter cup or so of butter, and we're going to put about a half cup of our our bourbon maple glaze in. So we'll get our stove rolling here. This butter was frozen, so this is going to take a little while. You can add other stuff to this if you want to. I just wanted to, like I said, keep this really simple. Soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and some Dijon mustard. I'm opting not to do that because I don't want people to rely on having a lot of stuff, although that's pretty typical stuff for most kitchens. Again, I just wanted to make this recipe something in particular that you can just walk into Costco, walk out of Costco, and come home and have everything good and ready and make something just banging. So we'll melt down this butter a little bit, add the syrup, and we'll catch you guys in a few. Okay, so butter's cooked down. Let's add some syrup. Like I said, we're going with like a half cup. I'm taking the feel approach to this here. That looks about right to me. So stir it up. Cook it down. If you're a fan of heat, it's probably a good time to add some of that. You can do some Tabasco or Cholula or something like that. A lot of people will opt for sriracha in this recipe in particular. Honey and sriracha go together just fantastic. We are not going to do that today, but if you have it, use it. All right, so as you can see, we got this boiling here. I just flipped it into low. We're gonna let it simmer a little bit. This caught me off guard, but we'll see how it does. It's been about 20-25 minutes, so I think we're gonna go outside, leave this on low. We're gonna go outside, check on the salmon, see how it's doing. I wanna get our first glaze on the salmon when it reaches about 100 degrees or so internal. So let's go outside and see where we're at. All right, we're gonna take the cover off, see how we are looking here. It's sitting at 340 on the lid, so we're doing really well as far as maintaining a steady temperature is concerned. It's looking good, starting to get kind of brown. Let's see what we got here. So 110, 115, yeah, we're gonna get a glaze on it like right now. Yep, let's get a glaze on it. I will be right back. So I am back with our glaze. We are going to spoon it on nice and gingerly here. I notice when a lot of people pour their glazes on, one of the unfortunate things that happens is they're so aggressive pouring it on that they wash the rub off with the pour. So want to be careful to leave that rub intact. and just spoon it on nice and gingerly. So we're gonna let that set up, and we're gonna come back to it about every 5 or 10 minutes and glaze it over and over. Let's get the lid back on. Another thing you will notice is that we don't have skin on our filet. It's just the way that it came from Costco. Not that I necessarily have a preference one way or the other, but if you have both sides flesh, it might be a good idea to try flipping the filet over and glazing the other side if you had them cut into smaller pieces. But such a big piece like that, I'm not going to try to flip it over. I have little doubt that I'll destroy it in the process. So, like I said, about every 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to be reglazing it, rechecking temperature. We want to take it to really no higher than 130 internal. I think the USDA recommends 145, but a lot of people don't like salmon because if you cook it to 145, it's going to be dry. It's going to be over rendered, I guess you can say. Just no fat texture or goodness left in the flesh whatsoever. So nobody really cooks it that far. Maybe some people do. I shouldn't say nobody, but I certainly wouldn't. So we'll catch you guys in a little bit. So I did hit it with the glaze one time in between the last time you saw me and now. We're going to check the internal temp. If it's not quite there, we'll just glaze it again. But let's see where we're at. We're at 127 in the thickest part, so I think we're going to glaze one more time and maybe just give it like 2 or 3 more minutes or so. Alright, so this thing looks totally awesome. I'm having a hard time not cutting into it. One thing that I kind of want to do is get it off of this wire rack. And I'm not sure how to do that. I even want to glaze the bottom side. But I know these things are like really kind of brittle. So I'm going to glove up, I think, really quick. And I'm going to try to flip it. And then as it rests, we'll glaze the bottom side too. Okay, let's see if we can pull this thing off in one piece. Oh boy. Oh, I broke a little piece. Okay. Oh, that was nerve-wracking if you can't tell. We busted it up a little, but I think we can at least roll it over. Maybe not. I shouldn't even try this. I'm just being reckless now. Okay, that's the bottom side. Bottom side doesn't look as good as the top side looked. But let's glaze it anyways and we'll see how it tastes. We got the glaze, so why not use it? We're gonna give it a couple minutes to rest, and then we'll taste it. See how we did. Should I try flipping it back this way? Oh boy. Oh no, that looks worse. I don't like that at all. I should have left it.
What's going on here?
It's been a couple of minutes. I regret flipping it. Don't do that. So anyways, let's cut into this thing and see how we did. It's flaky. I think that's a good sign. I love it. So I think it's great. You want to try it? Are you ready? I don't see how you can't not like that. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. So my wife doesn't like salmon. I don't know if she's being nice to me or not. But my mission today, thank you to my sister, by the way, for requesting this. So I made this for Tina. Much to the dismay of my wife, because she doesn't like salmon too much. Do you want to have more? Is it good enough to eat more?
Stop putting me on the spot. Go some to Bella.
All right, Bella. Official taste test time. Get over here, girl. Come on, Mama.
You want one more?
Come over here. Sit.
Wait.
Can you see her?
Okay.
There you go, Mama. Oh, good girl. Okay, well, I think it was a hit. Don't do what I did there at the end and try flipping it. That wasn't worthwhile at all. So, bye. All right, so let the record show. We sat here for like 10 minutes and just picked away at it right on the cutting board. We didn't even put it on plates or nothing. So she was not just being nice. She liked it. So it must be good.